Greetings. And something just came to mind again, and the some scriptures coming alive on the enemy's territory and Israel's borders, the Father's territory for his people. And there's a difference between the two. And so there is no narrow way in the Father's territory within his borders. There's no narrow way. Now, it sounds like it might look like, it will look like, without understanding that it'll break. It's like to look like we're saying break the narrow way, don't walk the narrow way. When in reality, within Israel's borders, to say there is a narrow way within his borders is actually evil now, even though what it might cause to look like is that don't walk on the narrow way. But that's what just came to mind, is that there's a difference between two things. And we read with Abraham, I think, to go and walk and pass through the territory, but not go to the left or right until you pass through their territory. And so then it's like to start seeing what that is to needing to see what this represents and means, and when it's happening and when it's not happening. And if we break the narrow way when we're not supposed to, then it's going to be some kind of judgment. It's going to be enemies attacking, killing. Not that they won't ever do that anyways, but it's a sin on like our part then, and that'll cause judgment and hurt, and find out what you're doing wrong so you don't do it the same way again. So then you have a knowledge, like, okay, if the knowledge is coming in and about something, you see the situation again and you remember what happened last time, you go to the left or right. And the judgment will be so consistent that if you do it, the judgment will come back just like last time, period. And this is where you could be pressured to test the Father and just do the evil thing just to see if he's going to judge like last time. And then you're not supposed to do that kind of testing, and in an evil way testing the Father, not putting him to the test. Let me see if he'll do something, but in darkness, it's like always doing this evil. Never, there's nothing to worry about in darkness. They're free from all righteousness, and this is as bad as an evil as it gets. Sounds good. Free from righteousness to the darkness, that sounds great. Or free from sin. Being freed from righteousness, and it's never on their mind. There's nothing to watch out or be careful for, because it's coming out of darkness. It's coming out of evil. It's coming out of not seeing anything. There is nothing to see or worry about. There's no good. I better be careful. I could screw up here and do evil by not doing this good thing. They're free from that. But when he starts giving his people sight, there's all kinds of evil things we could do that you can do and break easily. And now you have to watch out and take one step at a time not to break it. Which means this walking this narrow line is meaning so much, significant, huge at all times, unless you're within the borders where you're free to roam like a sheep is free to roam within its borders. There's no law against good. There's no law against his good land and good things. But in the darkness, in the evil territory, you're free from righteousness. It's just the backwards thing, where there is laws against evil constantly instead of no law against good. And then you just sin constantly in darkness. There's nothing to watch out, which is that video I did with what came to mind at night, later in the night, so often, taking away my sleep. Thank you. It's already difficult enough. Thank you. It's already like smoking, tired, crawling, drained. But I think, real late at night yeah, that sounds good. That should put some more testing and pressure on you. Take that. And then if you don't do anything, well, I'm going to torment you for trying to fall asleep for not caring, because you care about sleep more than you care about good. Now I'm going to torment you. Now what? Now what? Do the good thing. Do it anyways, even if there is some little bit of not wanting to, so that you can want to better next time. You have to start somewhere. If it never starts, it never gets better. If it's never built, it never goes higher. And if the muscles aren't worked, you don't go beyond or greater than that ever. It just stays right where it is with zero growth and zero anything good, you know. So then it's like just starting or doing something. It's that required thing. And maybe so often that's like the difficult thing, right? That first step to do is maybe so difficult. And if we just did it, it would get better. But that's mankind without the Father, just putting self in sin debt and in debt and saying, I'll take the step tomorrow. And it never comes for so many. But then there's different understandings with left and right and narrow, which will sound contradicting to not supposed to go left or right, but now it's sounding like you go left or right because it's speaking of something different and not the exact same spiritual thing. And that's rightly dividing the different things. And the only way to do that is to see from above what it is, how it works, to see what it is, and then you can start rightly dividing. Otherwise, there is no sight at all on what it is and how to do that. And there's no authority. It's just self making everything up, self creating everything from self, making things up. And that will never work. The Father makes sure it doesn't work. Never works. Even though man can think it works, it doesn't work. He thinks it seems good and seems right, and its end is death. It's pretty dumb. It's like running a race, and at the end there's a cliff, and it's your destruction. And he thinks that's wise because he didn't fall down the cliff today. He thinks it's wise because he doesn't fall down today. Thinks it's wise to do evil because that judgment didn't come on him right in that second, struck with lightning. Now it's wise to do evil because of the Father's patience and long suffering. It's wise to do evil now. In a delusion, you can make the Father look stupid and mock him, but in reality, no one can, because the ones that are mocking him constantly, their works and their life is a delusion. It's already over. Just because they can't see how and why doesn't change that fact that that's the truth in judgment, where he sends a strong delusion for anyone that doesn't love truth, and so that they believe their own lie. That's the judgment. They will believe their own lies. And darkness doesn't care. There's no care at all. So to see care is a strange, wicked thing to those that don't have it in the world. There's no authority. We're making things up constantly. We make everything up and talk about nothingness because they do. That's how it's really working. And darkness always accuses light for what it actually is. And light looks at darkness and knows what it is, but both are saying the same thing to each other. Some serious enmity. You're a liar. No, you're a liar. You're a murderer. No, you're a murderer. You speak of worthlessness. No, you speak of worthlessness. You're blind. You're blind. Because to the blind, the righteous are blind because they can't see what we're talking about in living. Therefore, we're blind because of their blinding. And we say they're blind because they are actually blind. We're not playing games and making things up to defend an image and self. It's out of actually being true. that it's blind. Every time they make that accusation that someone's blind, it's always out of darkness and throwing someone down, stripping their clothes, pointing and laughing at them to hurt them. Whereas through the light, it's just telling the truth. This is what it is. Too bad. And when it's done out of that truth and no other intention, to do anything else would be to lie and support the evil and let it continue or support its continuance, which is hatred towards the person, murder, which is hoping that they continue doing evil. So then the darkness wants us to lie at all times because of this truth. They want us to do what they do. And the lack of power in self when someone doesn't do what they want us to do, they start losing it. They lose their grip. They're trying to, I'm God, and they can't get us to do what they want because they need to want to believe that they're in control and have power and can do whatever they want at all times. And that's not the truth. That's a delusion. So then darkness needs people to beg and come down on the knees and beg them so that it proves that they're gods. When they see works that break that, it proves they're not gods because they were not able to at all get someone to believe their lie and beg and bow and beg them for the tools they stole. And please beg me now. I'm God. Beg me. Worship me. Get on your knees, bitch. That's what they're doing. So then it's not love. It's not giving freely ever. The enemy doesn't know how to do that. He never does that. It only gives, which looks like giving when you give, literally. It looks like you're giving out of making sure that there's some kind of self-gain, control, manipulation, deceiving, worship, getting for self, money. Then it can look like it gives because it made sure all those things would happen first. We're doing it. And so it's like right before this video on my mind is, at this point in the race, it's like crawling now. And if the Father doesn't do something about it at the proper time, it's not going any further. It's that simple. And so then there needs to be a real trust. And that scenario makes it so that we actually need to trust Him. And it works out a good. And it's real. We need it. Want it, but also need it. Both are true. In a delusion, someone doesn't need the Father. Not in reality. Because someone that doesn't need the Father in their own mind, they're doing evil constantly, which is the Father's judgment and blinding for evil, which proves they never did what they actually wanted. If every single time someone did what they wanted, they lived a delusion, that means they never did what they wanted if delusion is the judgment continually the rest of their life. Because delusion's not reality. They never did what they actually wanted because it was a delusion. The Father made sure of it. So then there's that, or there's reality, which is not doing our own thing and not able to do our own thing of self. Too bad. That's it. And so it's like you get that trapped feeling sometimes, which is good, but it's difficult. Or you see too much. This way, this is what happens. This way, this is the good thing, which means all this needs to be true and continue, which is the difficult thing. And self-sacrifice is for someone else's benefit. So then the Father teaches self-sacrifice where someone actually wants that from their heart. And that's the important thing, not the possessions, the money, the gaining for self, the numbers. It's the exact opposite. It's not any of those things. And it goes back to the real thing, that someone actually did the good real thing with the heart. That's what it is. But that's stupid to this world. It's already stupid, insanely stupid. to not do something for self-gain, because the sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to the Father. Spiritual sacrifice is an abomination. The literal sacrifice is an abomination. Both are the same in that it's someone else's life and expense to lift self up, whether naturally or spiritually. They flow together, the natural and spiritual, but one is carnal and one is spiritual. But there's always the similarities between the two. And then, we need to start seeing how that spiritual wicked sacrifice is being done constantly, because that's the thing that's constantly happening. The literal sacrifice is not constantly happening by everyone, everywhere, all the time, which makes it look like the Father's word isn't true for everyone, which is the enemy's tactic. Create an image to make it look like it's a lie, but the real things are true constantly, all the time, without failure. One is being done or the other constantly by everyone. And we see this distinguishing with the apostle, where it's not making sense with the letters without understanding, until some understanding comes in, where he's speaking about believers, but isn't he a believer? And yet it seems like there's a difference going on, like he's going down and they're going up, because he's talking about that self-sacrifice that the believers will have to do for the others eventually. But, when you're 5 years old, you can't do that work. When you're 25, you can start doing that work. And the Father doesn't make someone do what they literally can't. It's like a parent saying, baby, go drive the car, idiot. The Father never does that stupid work. It's evil. Or you literally can't, and then say you should, and then judge it out of not doing it when they couldn't in reality. Never does that. What if they grow up now? Well, now you have to do that, which is always a constant pressure at all times, and that's how it can always be there, which is pressure to make his people grow. It never goes away. Although it can go up and down and different things happen, but it never goes away. You can handle more, here comes more. You grow more, here comes more. You thought that was evil, what they did to you. Wait till 3 years from now, here comes more. And every single time more comes, it brings out something you're not doing right in that moment. And then in a way, it never ends. It's like you're never getting better while you're actually getting better. But it doesn't feel like you're ever getting better because of this truth that there's always more testing and bigger things coming. It never feels like you're getting better because there's always that happening. But if someone is doing the Father's will, they are getting better. They are growing. But it doesn't feel like it because of that. But then you can say, it is. Just in one sense, it doesn't seem like it. So this is, the narrow way is perfect. It's like literally perfect. Anything less, anything to the left or right of it is a sin. But how monstrous would it be to put whatever the perfect thing is onto someone that's like 5 years old? Isn't that sick? It's evil. And then you're not supposed to do the other thing, which is support sin and just let it be. And you can't do the other extreme. It's always like right down the middle. That's the difficult thing. The other two things are easy because they're sin. And anybody can do that easily. It takes nothing to sin. It takes everything to not sin. And there's nothing to care about in darkness, and there's everything to care about in the light. Now you can start seeing you can do evil. Now you can see there's things you can do that are evil because they're sight. But in darkness, there's what evil? Slash someone's throat along the way. Big deal. I didn't see it, therefore I didn't do it. because of the darkness's own blinding. They never do any evil because they don't see it. Therefore, they say, I didn't do it because they didn't see it. Sick. And yet it's true. And yet we have to understand why it's being done. They don't know what they're doing. And yet they're doing the evil for real. Mankind's doing the evil. When he runs away and flees from someone, he didn't see himself running away because he never does any evil. So he'll say, you ran away and fled from him, because now there's a distance between the two people. He'll just say, you ran away. And that's why there's a distance between them. That's how sick it is. That's all I ever see, these spiritual works of darkness and the darkness, this world. That's what they do. It's that blind and dumb. They pour out their own folly, but they never believe they do evil. They never acknowledge they do evil because they can't see how they do evil and what it means. And then just dump the sins on someone else. But that doesn't work to the Father. There's no way that actually does anything ever. They have to bear their own sin and guilt. They can't throw it onto someone else and then lighten their own load. It doesn't actually work. Because he can do this work in a delusion and think he works, therefore it works. It doesn't work. Father never allows such stupidity and evil. I'll fix my problems by dumping it on someone else. He never allows that to stand inside someone, no way. So then in the light, it needs to be repented of and not dumped on someone else. There's a way now where there's no way. There's no repentance in darkness, but with light, with the Father's light, doing his will, there is a way to get rid of these heavy laden sins, and it's through repentance. And then you don't need to dump them on someone because of the good thing. It's just a fruit of doing the right thing. Now you don't need to. We don't do it because we don't need to. Do the good thing, repent, and because you do the good thing, you don't need to. It's just a benefit from doing good. And when the evil thing is done, what it causes is more evil. Instead of a good benefit, it causes an evil benefit. And then that benefit is connected to all the other evil things that's connected to that. And then it keeps exploding like that. And it goes on forever, literally. It never ends because there's never any repentance. It just keeps branching out and it just keeps blaming anything but self, which makes it move out, which makes it go down the bottomless pit more, pointing at the one, pointing at the one, pointing at the one. Eventually, somewhere down there, someone's going to get screwed. And that's how this world works. I don't care as long as someone down there gets screwed. It's what he's thinking, the carnal mind. That's what's happening. People are getting screwed, but he thinks, as long as I'm okay, as long as things are going my way, who cares about all the people getting screwed? Cares about all the evil it does. It points to the one under it, and that person can't handle its own sin, so it points to someone else and blames them. And then that person does the same thing, and it goes on forever, literally. Literally. It must be a literal bottomless pit to be bottomless. There's no bottom. It goes on forever. But the good thing goes, it brings everything together, like all in one, and it doesn't blame anyone. It doesn't point fingers. It's all one and together. And you could go back and forth anywhere because there's no sin going on. Left, right, up, down, heaven, earth, heaven. Ascending and descending, it doesn't matter. The spiritual good, the oneness, there's a freedom. But with evil, there is no such freedom. It's slavery. And they're forced to do it. But there's more understandings of why it's slavery, too. And then his law is liberty, because when we're able to keep the law, it's freedom. And it's not kept by man's own power. It's the Father's righteousness that keeps the law in us, which is his works working in us to do it. And there's a freedom in this from the sin, from all that chaos and bottomless pit. In evil, everybody has to be watching their back. But with good, you don't have to watch your back because there's actual good, which means that there's not evil happening, which means you don't have to watch your back. But with evil, you always have to watch your back. The Father allows someone to sort of play a game and think they're wise getting away with something so that he sets him up to utterly fail and get caught every time. And he keeps doing this work over and over while the Father keeps proving they keep getting caught and getting destroyed. And they still keep thinking that it works. A rod for the fool's back. He can't feel it like I read. It's not doing anything for him. That's how stupid evil is. Because it's spiritually drunk. And when you're like wasted, it's like, what? Who hit me? Nobody's hitting me. I don't feel anything. I'm drinking to take away the pain so I don't feel anything. What about the spiritual drunkenness that he feeds everyone? Revelation, Jeremiah, Isaiah, his word. At all times, someone's spiritually drunk. They don't feel anything. They can't see self. They are not accountable for their own sin. It's always someone else's fault at all times for everything. And therefore, it's a constant destruction. It's proving something utterly that just man won't do any good. The only way he can start doing good is the Father's mercy and favor and love comes on them. That's it. And then the judgment that his people are receiving starts correcting them without this favor and mercy. The Father's judgment for evil. They just keep doing evil even after the plagues, proving man's stubbornness and inability to do anything without the Father, which is a frightening thing when someone can actually see the reality and belief of this and that there is no other truth. He just keeps getting whipped and it never means anything, never does anything. He's so prideful, he denies that he's getting whipped. He's never in judgment because he's God and he's crying and he's screaming and his eyes are red from being in pride. No God, no judgments, because I say there's none, even though there's a bunch of proof constantly and there's plagues coming on Pharaoh and the Egyptians. It's simple and easy to see. Nope, no judgments. Go and run and kill them as my last move after the perfect 7 plagues, severe plagues. Keep going and doing evil and chasing his people to the death to try and kill them. What plagues? I didn't see any plagues. There were no plagues. I'm God. I'm Pharaoh. I'm the Egyptians. It's amazing how dead his word is without any belief in him, without him giving us truth, his spirit in us. Dead never meant anything. There's no reality to the dead letters without him. And so these plagues in Revelation are very real because those plagues in Exodus or wherever we read them were very real. And the judgments on his people are very real. And he's not partial. He's not going to show favor just because a believer. Now I'm not going to judge you for an evil thing you do. No, he will. Which is breaking down some more pride. Because there's no distinction. You're not favored in this kind of way where it's through sin and partiality. And man doesn't like that. He wants to be the best and favored and highest in something. So then because who the Father is and what he teaches and his judgments, it breaks this pride down. And you start realizing you're not better than anyone else and he's not going to make you special in an evil way. But there is a special good way, which has nothing to do with pride and evil. Set apart nation. Special. royal priesthood. Yeah, that's all through humble. That's all through good. It will be accused as evil, but it's not the evil thing. The evil thing needs to be broken down and destroyed. But there is a good thing, a good way, and darkness doesn't see the good way ever. So it condemns it as evil, always the good thing. Size given all things, that must be wickedly prideful. Prideful man, prideful person. No, there's no pride through the Father's way and works. When he gives, it's freely giving. There was no pride there. And when someone's truly given freely, that's not pride. That's just being given freely. That's all. And then his lifting up is out of humble. He lifts someone up. They didn't lift themselves up. It's not pride. The Father lifts someone up. Pride is lifting self up the false way. Trying to get the good benefits out of lifting self up never comes for someone doing that constantly. But if he sees lifting up, which is similar to the lifting up of pride in that they're both going up, he condemns the good lifting up as the evil thing every time. He can't see a difference between two things because he believes in his heart that he knows good and evil already. And when someone believes that in their heart, when the truth is they don't know the difference between good and evil and what these two things are in reality in the heart, when that's the foundation, and the truth is that they don't know, by saying you know, you never see what you need to see, and it's all lies all the time. By saying we know what the good thing is and what good actually is, when we don't know, keeps us from ever knowing for real. And so then the darkened mind will look at humble and call it pride because he doesn't know what humble is. It needs to be given. But Satan says, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Therefore, there's no need for him to learn because he already thinks he knows and believes he knows in his heart. It applies for all. He already knows. As if the Father's word was a lie, as if the spiritual, heavenly, true meaning isn't true for everyone. And in reality, it is true. This is when it gets astonishing. This is when someone can see the Creator, who he really is, and go, wow, which is actual praise, which is actual worship or thankfulness or anything good. Through darkness, it never happens. It's building its own gods and things, and it's a fake praise. It's not real. It's not to the Father or Creator because they aren't seeing these good things. There's nothing to thank him for. There's nothing to go wow for. There's nothing to be astonished for. He's the Creator, man. He's the potter. It's stupid to be thankful to something other than self. In reality, when self is the potter, he can't be actually thankful to the Creator above him. When he's the Creator, he needs to go wow to himself. And indeed, mankind does do that all the time. Wow, I'm good. Damn, man, I'm good. What? Do you know who I'm talking? Do you know who I am? Do you know my name? And if you don't, you start violently shaking when someone wants to hurt you because they're seeing evil and they want to attack that because it offends them because they do that too. And they don't like that they're doing that because there's no blessings between doing evil. Then the one getting attacked and not believe that, do you know who my name is, starts violently losing it. Now I'm going to kill him. I'll show you I'm God, kill him. And then he kills him out of incredible pride and insecurity while he believes he's good and doing good. He's just murdered someone. And it will make someone sick to see what we need to see. Yes, it will. They'll be puking, puking, puking. There's a reason that his people need healing because they're going to get hurt big time so that they can get healed. And while they get hurt, it brings out something to learn and see. But then you have to get hurt so he can heal you. But then that hurting brought out a bunch of good things. And now he can heal you, which brings out another good thing, some serious wisdom. What wisdom when no one sees what any of his wisdom is in darkness? There's nothing to go, wow, wow, look at his wisdom, look at the height, the depth, the width, the length. There's nothing to see, to even remotely say those words now and look like you're thankful is a disgusting, wicked lie, an image of the beast projection, which isn't real at all. And that's what the image of the beast is, and it's frightening me, scaring me every day. It's like marveling after the fact that there's this marveling after the image of the beast worship. And when you worship the image of the beast, it's connected to worshiping self because man created that image, that golden calf, that God in his own likeness, carnal. Can't walk, see, hear. To worship that God is just self worship. It's a giant trick. It's the massive trick. Wizard of Oz trick. To worship that image is to worship self, but it looks like you worship God because you point to someone other than yourself. But in reality, they built that image and put the doctrine on that image, and it goes back to self. And when you pray at night, you pray to yourself and the false gods. This is a serious delusion, and it would make someone puke to truly see any of it. It's unbelievable. But the world can't see that it's doing that. That looks incredibly wicked to them. That looks really bad and stupid. So therefore, how dare you talk about this truth? And so it needs to attack what looks bad, which is bringing out that that's what's happening, which makes it look real bad, which is evil because it looks bad. And now you must not be speaking truth because it looks bad, which is evil. And everyone will agree in darkness against the light, all of them. They'll even conspire and get together so they can kill, steal, destroy, and do away with the light. Because what they have in common is that they're all in darkness and do what the lights are saying. So then even if they hate each other then and don't like each other, they'll get together for one common cause to throw down the lights. And when they get together, they're utterly blinded. They don't even know they get together to do these things. They don't even realize what they're doing at all. They're blinded. It's a strong blinding. Every single time these works happen like this, they try to dump what they did onto you and try to get you to accept that that's what you are, desperately needing to do that. It was so strong, it moved me from one job to the next because of that specific thing. Once it starts, it doesn't stop. And they start playing with you like you're a rubber toy, throwing you around, and it's fun to them. Then when something gets serious for the kids and you go away and walk out without notice, now there's a serious problem. We didn't think he would do that because we're blind. Oh, that's making us look bad. Must be why he did it. So now we need to take our sins and try to convince that that's what that person is, whoever it is. Dump it on them. Face the judgment. Stop trying to dump the sins on other people. Face the reality that they all did that darkness and did evil works. Own it up. Own up to it. Then there's never any forgiveness without the Father in someone's own heart. It keeps building and remembering every evil. But when good comes to it, it remembers none of it. Zero. It forgets all the good that comes its way, actual good. Truth comes its way. It forgets all of it because it doesn't want it. And whatever someone doesn't want, it goes away. Strong judgment. The seed comes, foul spirit takes it, it's gone. It's gone. The truth, the word is gone from them when it's taken like that. They don't want it. The Father provides a means by which it will go away. Here comes the bird to pluck it right from them. And now that it went away, they think they made it go away. They think that was a good thing. They think they got you now. They think they fixed the problem by making it go away. Hello, we're still right here. We remembered what we gave to you. You think you fixed the problem? It's like speaking to the carnal man like this, to bring things out, because it's all the same. Carnal man, he's the same. Darkness is the same. There's a lot of different things to speak and like learn about, but it is all the same in that it's all darkness, and light is the same in that it's all light and good and one. But darkness makes it look like it's one, but it can never be the real one that the Father's things are, because he doesn't allow it. He doesn't allow it to become one. It's an explosion always in reality. It's never one. It's always going away from each other, scattering to little pieces everywhere. That's what that is, evil. Never one. One brings together, where many come together to one for everyone else's benefit, and the explosion hurts everyone for zero benefit and only killing. And if shrapnel gets in someone's eyes and blinds them, that's a good thing. It did what it needed to do. It's a sad thing where people go to war and they end up killing someone and their life is utterly ruined and messed up. It's a sad thing, but well, let's not talk about why it happens now. Let's support the evil that people do so that more, so that we can be evil ourselves. It's a heavy judgment to kill someone, murder someone. Doesn't matter what reasons the world makes up. Once again, the world is like its own God. It doesn't matter what the world says. When someone kills someone and murders someone, there's a strong judgment for it. Doesn't the stupid rules and the borders and why something started doesn't matter. That's for the world to work its own stupid things and figure out, that it never can. For those that love truth and are of the Father, there's a judgment. And this is why they go into some serious destruction. It just is. It shows the Father's judgment and severity for more extreme evils, more extreme judgment. Lesser evils, lesser judgment. What do they have in common? Both are darkness, but there's different, greater or lesser still. You come up with names and categories and diseases and boxes and try to feed them pills and their spirit's destroyed. It's never going to fix them. You can't fix the Father's judgment by giving some carnal pill to them. What's not a carnal problem? And so then all this stuff ends up being sorcery. But what are we going to do? Stop it? It's stupid to even try, because it's literally a bottomless pit that goes forever in all directions. It's an explosion. I'm going to put one little piece together out of all the millions that are constantly exploded. It's never going to work. And because someone puts one piece closer together, because if they tried to do that, they're going to blow up and it'll go back to where it was for trying. And they deserve it. And they'll get scattered. And it'll push them back again, and someone else blows up. More people try to run towards the center, and the Father blows them up, and they scatter everywhere. And they deserve it. We'll fix the problem by saying the earth is flat or something, and just pushing this one thing only, and put this one little piece back towards the center. And if everyone agrees with us, we'll fix everything. Forget sin, forget worshiping the Creator in spirit, forget all that. This is the truth right here, one carnal thing. Even if it's a right thing, it doesn't matter. And then they blow up and they scatter. And then more divisions come and more wolves come, and then they attack each other, and then more wolves come and they attack each other. Then you can't find the bottom of any truth. And if you try, you'll go insane trying, because that's how evil works. If you go to one evil, we should remember how it works. Go to one evil in your mind and point to it. It's pointing to all other things, everything else. So then you go in any direction and go to the other piece, and it's pointing in all directions. There is no way to find where it started from, period. And you just accept what you cannot do, which is always the difficult thing, which is the good thing, which takes work, which takes patience, which takes growth, which takes asking, which takes waiting to do that. And one piece points to another, and then that piece points in all directions to another. There's no maze out of it. A maze would be good news compared to this evil. A complicated, incredibly complicated maze where there is at least one way to finally get from one end to the other would be very good news compared to this, because there is no way in this. And I'm glad I've tried over the years in different things, because then you can look at those things and the Father proves something to you for you. Now it's time to give up doing it at the proper time when enough sight is seen. And you go, wow, oh, that was vanity. There was no way to find it anyways. Why try? It's a sin to just try from the heart. To really believe that it can be done is a sin, but maybe it's not a sin for someone yet because they don't see enough. Is the Father going to judge what someone doesn't truly see or know yet and blame them for not being able to do what they don't truly see yet? So it's the carnal man and the carnal Jews that put heavy yokes on people, not Messiah's people. They prove with their works all day long that's what they do and believe. And they can't see how, therefore they don't do it. Just like the one that kills in the night because he didn't see it, therefore it didn't happen. That's a lie. It's evil. It's like purposeful deception to protect self. Let me wash my hands, Pilate says. And if I wash my hands, I'm God. I didn't do this evil, even though I actually did works. Kill him, send him to die. I didn't do it. I washed my hands. It doesn't work, Pilate. Face the judgment. Just because you washed your hands doesn't mean that something else happened now just because we washed our hands. You feel dirty? Wash the hands. Therefore, it cleanses you. No, it doesn't. They want that to be true because they don't want to go towards self-denial and acknowledge that they're doing evil. So then you try some other way and it never works. Are we evil for telling the truth? For trying to bring out that there is only one way that actually works? How on earth is that evil? Where all the other different ways don't work and only continue destruction, death, and unbelief, and then support it? That's supporting evil and death. It's supporting someone's death. It's supporting someone's lack of any hope forever and wanting it to be that true. And then there comes a time where you don't even know what to pray for when there's too many things on your mind that you're seeing. Just do something. I don't know what's right. Just help me do something. I don't know what to pray for right now. This is too much. And, just believe it'll work out somehow, that he'll do it. Just giving up on self doing it, that's for sure. It's getting hot over here. Who can dwell with everlasting burnings? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego can. And the world watches the miracle and they're in denial. They don't care. Next, got something to sell, got someone to rape. We don't care about this miracle we just saw. We deny it, therefore it never happened. So we can continue to do our evil. But then people will say, if I see a miracle, I'll believe. No, they won't, because of that only, because of just seeing something. No, it won't make them believe by itself for just seeing it. Now, the Father maybe could get someone to believe through seeing something, but just from seeing something does not make someone believe by itself just because they said they all see it. Though someone is resurrected from the dead, man's stiffness and hardness says Messiah says they still won't believe. Though someone's resurrected from the dead, they still won't believe. And you have to bear their judgment, you know. That there is no way to get to the other side for those that are on that side. That's a hard thing to see. But those that are on that side don't believe they are. So there's like a blinding and like a protection in a way. They never believe that they're on that side and can't get to the other side. They don't even understand what that is. It's not on their mind. It's torment for us to see that because it hurts seeing it. They don't see that. The darkness, the unbeliever doesn't see that. And he gives us to start seeing that. And that's difficult to see. It's not difficult for them to see nothing. It's not difficult to be blind. That's the easy thing, is close your eyes and give up and do nothing and don't move and don't look at anything. That's the easiest thing to do. It doesn't take any work. Close your eyes and go to sleep. But doing actual good works takes a lot of work and it's tiring, and you do them during the day and not the night. Night comes, you go to sleep. That's the teaching and understanding. But it's manifested in this creation at the end of this age where it's like 24/7 everything. It's manifesting something, literal works in the night, on what the heart is. The Messiah is talking about this spiritual working in the night. That's the real thing to be lived. The first, the heavenly thing. Heaven is above, therefore it's always first. And the earth is second, and the earth is never first because it's below the heavens. That's the order. To break that order is already doing evil and deception and all sin. Because if that's the only order, not doing that order, it has to be sin, all of it. And that's how important a foundation is. If it's the wrong foundation, everything from it will be evil. If it's not the right foundation. But if it's the right foundation, this is where all the good comes out of. So bear one's load doesn't mean anything until it means something for someone. Bear with one another doesn't mean anything until it means something for someone. What does it mean to actually bear? That means you see people doing things and you have to bear it because what you want to see is not happening right now the way perfectly you want to see it. And someone could see you and they're not seeing what they want to see perfectly and they have to bear it. That would be actual true love. That's the only true love. To not do that is not love, which is murder. The world never does this real thing. The soonest excuse that someone screwed someone, it's over forever. You know, it's murder instantly. It's already putting perfection on someone else because the slightest thing someone does to someone hates that. But then they do the same thing back to them, and the other person does the exact same thing back to them in the dark world. And each one is putting a heavy yoke on the other, not believing that the true way is a light yoke, an easy burden, light yoke. But everything else that man does is heavy, not good, it's not light, the opposite. Sin weighs someone down like putting literal weights on your body weighs you down. Forgiveness starts taking them off. The only way to get the weights off is through belief and forgiveness from above, seeking forgiveness, giving forgiveness back. And then the weights start coming off. And then this way, it's a light burden and an easy yoke. In other ways, it's a heavy tribulation and you have to bear your load because that's a separate thing. It's specifically being heavy laden and with sins and putting yokes on others from others. There is nothing like that in his way. Nevertheless, Messiah does carry a stake on his back, which is a load, which is some weight, which is difficult, which has weight, just has some heaviness to it. And unless his people do the same, they can't be his people. They can't be his disciple. And if someone's not of Messiah, they don't see or have the Father either. We read that. And if they don't have the Father, they don't have him. So if someone doesn't do that and carry the stake, they don't have him and they don't have the Father. And you carry what? You carry a weight, which is all kinds of things to be seen on how that is true. And it's for the purpose of walking to your own death. That's pretty cruel, isn't it? Who wants that way? Put the stake on you. Which direction now? Okay, this is kind of heavy. I don't like this. Go this way. Okay, where are we going? Where are you taking me? Shut up. I'm like thinking of the evil way, what people do all the time. Where are you taking me? Where are you taking me? To kill you, says the Father, because you're no good. Wait, so I'm going to the promised land to die so I can be killed, so that the end of it is death? Sounds like the evil thing. I thought the evil way was the end of it is death. What seems right to man, the end of it is death. This way is death too. Both ways are death. One is good death, one is the bad death. One is dying to who and what someone is. The other is having all life and good drained from someone in the destruction constantly. Alive in the beast, death without the Father's life, or dying to the beast and alive in the Father. Both are death, but they're two different deaths. And there's no other way. Not in this life. Well, then the second death will come for everyone. And if it was difficult now, it must be difficult then. I don't know exactly how that would be, but we can believe and see and understand what it means and is, that that's what it will be. But for believers, oh, it means something because it's constantly difficult and hard. The more someone grows, it gets harder. So then it's like that scripture becomes valuable, means something. You don't have to go through the second death. That's one of the promises. You don't have to go through the second death. What does it mean to an unbeliever or someone in religion that's apart from him, that doesn't know the Father? Nothing. There's no value. Just get tortured forever. It means nothing. It literally means nothing to them. Period. Zero. How could it mean something if you're never living any of it so that it can mean something? And the crazy thing is for those that it doesn't mean anything, it's for them, actually. That doesn't mean anything to them in this life. It's for them. It's coming. But they escaped from this second death, and everyone else is going there. Sounds like man's works. Sounds like the devil's works right there. Everyone except me. We escaped from this second death. No, they didn't. But everyone else is going there that doesn't do this or that, and then they go to hell forever and get tortured. We escape this thing. We escape the judgment. The only thing that can cleanse us and destroy evil and bring out good, we escaped. Have you come to torment us before our time? I know you. You're that Messiah or something, that one I hate. You wicked. I know you. I know who you are. That's what the enemy's saying. And Messiah says, be quiet. Shut up. And they're subject to him. It's like a parent telling a kid to be quiet. But to the wicked, it's offensive and evil. They contradict themselves if they have kids, because they tell their kids to be quiet when they're being a stupid pest constantly, making noise, fighting, complaining. When are we going to get there? Be quiet. And they go, huh! It's something like that. It's just the carnal man never grows up. He's like a kid in a way constantly. And in these like cartoons, the little things never grow up. They always stay the same age and same look, same everything forever. But it's not about the cartoon. It's not about, it's just something to see. That the world really does pour out its folly on who and what it is through that pouring out its folly in so many different ways. It shows like who and what it is, because you can't hide it, because the Father doesn't allow it to be hidden. He sees darkness as if it's the day, right through it. He sees through the cover as if it's not there, which means it becomes stupid to hide sin when that's the truth and reality, and he actually sees it anyways. Why hide it? Does that mean we're gonna do the perfect thing instantly because we just said that or realized that? No, it doesn't automatically mean we're gonna do the perfect thing constantly because we realize something about that and said that now. Although that's what someone should want. And not being able to do it perfectly proves that they can't do the works themselves and just be perfect instantly. I mean, how many times over and over does he prove that in a believer's life, that they can't do the perfect thing and just do it perfectly constantly? And then something else comes and then they fail again. Something else comes, some new understanding comes, and then they fail again. How much proof at the end that he proved we're not God, we're not the creator. Can't just do whatever we say. I could do it because I said so. I won't deny Messiah. We won't deny Messiah. The rooster crows, and he denied him. But he wept. There's nothing to weep for the wicked. It doesn't even make sense to us. It's not possible. There's nothing to weep in that same exact way. They're condemned. They don't believe in him. There's nothing to deny. Therefore, there's never any reason to weep in that same way. Because there's nothing to care about either. There's no love in sight. There's no sight in sight. There's no seeing him. There's no knowing him. There's no belief in him. It's just condemnation and unbelief. Not seeing, not knowing. They're not even denying him because they don't even believe in him. Just a constant unbelief and denial. There's nothing to deny. There's nothing to weep for. And that looks wicked. The good thing looks evil. What do you, cry baby? You loser. You're stupid and weak. Look at him. Because they'll only see the picture, the carnal thing, what looks like something, and then attack it. But that's what they do. That's who they are constantly. Just hiding it. So then we have to look bad a lot to the world. You try to like not look bad, not look sad, not look weak in this world, because it's the strong survive. You look weak. You know what the lion does when there's somebody limping. It's easier prey when it's hungry. It goes for it first. That is mankind. He goes for the lame, the weak. So you have to put on an image like everyone else. In a sick way, it kind of works. In a delusion, it kind of works for something, but it doesn't work at all. It's like both have to be said like that contradict a little bit with words. He must not look so good after the rooster crowing. That must look incredibly wicked and weak to those that see him falling down weeping. Must look pretty stupid. They don't understand. They're afraid of what they don't understand, so they have to point the finger and condemn it and say, you're a loser, you're a crybaby. And the only way to do this evil is to be a crybaby yourself. That's it in reality. They just talked about themselves. That's the Father's judgment. There's like no other way. You have to be what you condemn if you did evil. There is a way to righteously judge, But if we do evil, then that's the only way. Which makes evil utter foolishness, which like traps the wise, so called, in their own deceit and craftiness. That's how he does it. It's why we read that. Every time someone does evil, the Father traps them in their own deceit because they just spoke of themselves. They poured out who they are. Condemning someone else, they condemn themselves. And that's hypocrisy. And it's stupid, and it pours out the foolishness, and that's how he traps the beast in their own deceit. When we read in certain scriptures when it's discerned what wise means, it's a mockery of the worldly wisdom. It's the wise so-called that think they're wise. It's not actual wisdom from above. Aren't you a great teacher? Messiah asked the great teacher. Aren't you great? What if that's the truth, that he thinks he's great and he's not? And now Messiah is speaking out of truth and saying, aren't you great? Thought you were great. What if that's the only truth in all of existence? How easily could it be condemned and accused that Messiah did evil and made fun of him and mocked him and threw him down so he could lift himself up? How easy? Very easily. All you have to do is lie and cheat, steal, kill, and destroy and be blind. And those are all easy things. Doesn't take any work. Doesn't take any strength to run away from or to go towards evil. It takes strength to run away from evil because it wants to draw you in. It takes strength to actually be able to walk away from it in every situation. If you walk away from evil, you'll be condemned as not caring. Do you love the Father more, or do you love yourself and evil more? That's like the question we ask ourselves. Are we afraid of looking bad for doing good more than doing what's right because we love the Father, which is obedience? Works prove it, not what someone says, but works prove it. So then if someone's worried about looking bad and then they don't do that good thing because they're worried about looking bad, they just proved with works, which is denial, the good thing, denial of the Father, then walking away from it for someone else's looks and what they will say of you and your image over the Creator's things. Someone walking away from evil has to be prepared to be called a coward and continue to walk away. The kingdoms of the beast, the throne of the beast is already all evil. It already works evilly. That's like something to be seen, but even that takes some time to see that it already is evil constantly. All of it. So therefore, any good that's actually done, it's going to be condemned, pointed at, called coward, weak, stupid, wicked, all these things. So then this judgment is a difficult judgment now. And then those scriptures start coming alive about drinking this cup. Is there any other way? Did Messiah ask, or did he pretend to ask to look good? Which one? Because if he pretended to ask just to look good, that's a liar and a deceiver right there that did evil. To create an image just to look good. That's it. You only do something just to look good. Or did he actually do this work and ask if there's another way? Because if you do it, if you do something just to make it look like you did something, you never actually asked the Father, is there another way? You never did that in hard reality. If you did the other thing, which is looking like that, looking similar, It's not possible to do one thing and then do the other at the exact same time, ever. It's like saying you can go left while you're going to the right at the same time. You'd split in half. That's what would be required, and that would be pretty stupid. It's not possible. Right or left, good or evil. Which one? Satan says it's right in the middle, the easiest thing, both, right in the middle, mixed. It's the devil's world already. Everything mixed, everything one, combining everything and saying it's okay. No distinction, many things, all one instead of two things divided. Many things, all one instead of two things divided, good and evil. Cause a lot of confusion, but two things divided is very simple. It's either one or the other, simple. Trillions of things, because that's the opposite of two things. All one, because that's the opposite of two things. Or just two things divided, one or the other. And so then if Messiah asks, and you could apply this to like anything, but in this scripture here, where if just saying if the evil was done, where you ask just to make it look like you're asking, that's the intention of the heart. My heart's going, I need to create an image, and I need people to believe an image and to believe something in advance. That's what's in the heart. I need them to see and believe something. I want them to believe something specifically. So then you go in your heart and you say the words to start creating the image. So, whether it's out loud or written down doesn't matter, but the heart starting out by saying, I need them to believe something specifically. I feel the need to say it again. So the heart says it. I need other people to believe something about me specifically. So now I will say, is there any other way, Father? And now an image was created that looks like he's asking the Father, is there any other way? And he never did ask the Father in his own heart, because he did it to create an image. Who can see the difference between these two things that look identical on the outside? That's how easy it is to lie. And why do people think people don't lie all the time? That's all they do. And if that's what the world is constantly, then this is what they're doing constantly. That's the work they're doing right there. If someone can see what this work is, that is the work of the devil. If that one evil thing was done just to get people to see something, believe something, and then they look at the image and they talk about the image and they repeat it, and the people go, Messiah asks the Father, and then they talk about it as if they're talking about something real, and it looks real because they're talking about the right image, and they're not talking about what's real. They're just talking about the image and how it works compared to all the other things that work just like that, and compare it to all the other images. Once you break through this image, there's nothing more. That's their cover. They can't speak on what it is and how it works. They just speak about the image, the cover, the outward thing, and compare it to all the other images and outwards things, and then say, this is true because of this, and works, faith, whatever's being talked about, and you compare and go back and forth, and it's not real. Because if that one thing is done, an image is cast like that, for that intention from the heart, starting from the heart, foundational, then from the heart comes out this image. Can someone see how you never actually ask the Father if there's another way to take this cup from me? Is there another way? That person never asked in reality with their heart to the actual Creator, the Father, with their heart when they did the other thing. It's called a delusion, and it's a strong one. There's an image about things of the heart. So people will say, it's about the heart. You ask from the heart. And they said right word. But if that was an image they were talking about, they weren't talking about what asking from the heart to the Father actually means, which means they never do it. If the projector's casting an image and people talk and look about the image only and never the projector and never get behind the projector, they're only talking about something that's fake. It's just an image. Boom. Shut off the projector. Boom. Kill the projector and the image is gone. It never was real. Smoke and mirrors. Magicians. Or maybe our Father calls them magicians for no reason. They're not actually tricky and extraordinarily deceptive. They're just magicians for no reason. Tickle, tickle. It's like that's what I say. To come out of that darkness, it's like that evil is just constantly doing evil and lying. So you just talk like that sometimes to bring something out. Oh man, and that makes me sick. If that work's being done for anything, it's not real. It's a deception and it's deceiving people. It's the heart of it all, the image of the beast. In Revelation we read, which is connecting to Scripture. It's not Revelation exclusively. It's all his word, wherever that's specifically being shown and taught, where the Father gives the understanding of the word, then you can see it elsewhere in his word. You can see it when the Israelites built their golden calf. And if they point and talk to something, it makes it look like they believe in a God, but it's the golden calf they built. It's not real. But it looks like they speak to God, doesn't it? What if you do the spiritual reality of that literal picture in religion? When they talk about God and everything, it looks real because what looks like something looks real. That's what it looks like if you were to do the real thing. But if it's just an image, you're just talking about what looks something like something, an image, which means you never do what's real because the image, you just swipe your hand through the image and it's nothing, just a picture. It looks something like the real. It goes back to the projector. The image isn't real. Games aren't real. Pixels aren't real. The world loves what's not real. Now, someone in this world could say something about that and say, yeah, I know, stupid. I know that my games or some movie is not literally real. It's not the point. If there's insane love and care for it, it's real to the person that loves and care for it and treats it as real. Doesn't matter what someone says once again, but the point is that damnable image that's being projected. And the first image makes the second image, gives power to the second image of the beast. There's a power in delusion through darkness and lying wonders. And this power is given through this wicked worship through the devil. And power is given to the stupid image to deceive people. And see how it doesn't matter what religion, what doctrine, what someone's doing physically, doesn't matter. The spiritual meaning and wickedness of this image of the beast is all the same. It's just different clothes. It's just different gods. It's just different images. It's the same exact spiritual thing, even if it's a slightly different image. It works the same. It is the same. And tomorrow you put on brown clothes. The next day you put on red clothes. You cover the same nakedness, but you look different doing it. But it's still clothes. It's the same thing, same works the same. Looks a little different. Adam and Eve cover themselves. You could put different coverings on, which makes you look different. And these are the different divisions of this world that look a little different. You have to see something. If you put different literal clothings on and they look different, there needs to be something that looks different about what that really means in the heart. And then therefore the divisions, not speaking of literal clothing now, they look different in these ways. We need to see get understanding from the Father on what these things look like, so you could see what these things are and how they're different. And that's what it is. And so there's a bunch of different things, more divisions and different clothes now than there ever were. But they all work the same. They all cover nakedness. They all cover sin and hide it. So no one sees your sins. That's what man thinks, that no one sees it. Father doesn't see it. But you cover yourself thinking that it covers so no one sees. That's it's mankind thinking it doesn't see. No one sees. Father sees right through it. And now I see these different things as what people do. These are the different things, like different groups, different divisions. These are the different covers. And it works the same when their cover is talked about and exposed. They react the same and do the same kind of attack and sin because it's the same cover. It just looks a little different. But then if someone else's cover that looks different, they'll do the same thing because it's their cover. And you found the spiritual cover. You found what the clothes represent and mean, and you start seeing it in the world and what it really is. It's not about the clothes all by themselves. But something like the natural or earthly, you could change your clothes and look different. Therefore, it's something about the heavenly is true like that. You can look different, but it's the same sin. It's the same self-righteousness, covering self instead of being covered by the Father. If we just did what was right, we would get the real covering that actually covers sins that the Father doesn't see and forgives. And it really covers it, actually. It covers the sin. He doesn't see it anymore. Even though it's under there, he covers it. It literally covers the body, and now he doesn't see through. Even though he can see through it, it doesn't see through because of the forgiveness that he gives. But when man covers it, he thinks it covers him, and it's not the Father's covering. Therefore, it doesn't actually cover him. Therefore, they remain in their sins. And he doesn't give forgiveness through that way. But his covering actually does what it's supposed to do. There's nothing wrong with covering the body like that by itself. The thing that's wrong is the world that does it like that, which makes the good thing look evil. Because if evil's the only thing being done, by the time the good thing is seen, it's going to be counted for evil. It's not evil just because everything else is evil. The Father's truth is never evil just because everything else is evil. Doesn't automatically make his truth evil, doesn't automatically mean there's no actual covering now available that actually covers, that forgives sins through the sacrificial covering. It's okay that they're naked. Just get covered by the Father's covering. But if man covers himself and denies that he's naked, he remains naked. And that's taught right in Genesis, right in the beginning, if someone can see the spiritual meaning out of the words. When Messiah says, whoever says, here's the judgment, whoever says they see, whoever sees is made blind, and whoever's blind is made to see. It's taught in Genesis. The words don't have to be said like that, word for word, to be taught there. Because when the Father gives an understanding, that's going to make it look like we're making things up, because the carnal man doesn't literally read exactly what we say we see in there. When we say the words on what we see, they don't see those words literally. Therefore, we're lying and making things up when it was given to see. And they were not given. They make things up because they're never given the real understanding. So all of their understanding's made up. It's their own. And you hide that you make things up by accusing Messiah's people making things up. Therefore, it looks like they don't make things up because they accuse someone else making things up, which makes the good thing and the good way look evil when everyone's doing the evil thing constantly, which is trying to hide by accusing. Then when they see the good thing in this world, it won't be believed. It must be the evil thing that's happening, because that's what's happening everywhere the most. Therefore, it will automatically be assumed that there is no way to do the good thing by this world. Which it comes down to not believing that there's a way to do any actual good and be an actual believer overcoming actual sin. It won't be believed that there is an actual way. But the world just needs to believe whatever it believes. That's what we have to just deal with and accept. Which is a difficult thing to deal with and accept. So it's like it needs to get better. But the only way it can be better is by being hard first. And then if that gets better, then he shows you some more. He shows you something else, more testing, more bringing out more things you didn't see. Then that's hard all over again, and it needs to get better. And then this is like what it is to be in a melting pot burning. It's kind of tormenting. For the good, though, instead of the evil. It's good to be tormented by Sodom and Gomorrah, or the torment could be evil, tormented by good. Therefore, torment, the word by itself, is not evil or good all by itself automatically. Therefore, jealousy is not good or evil all by itself automatically. And repent is not good or evil all by itself automatically. And wrath is not good or evil all by itself automatically. Anger is not good or evil all by itself automatically. But if someone doesn't see the good thing for real, hasn't been given any good, when they see jealousy, it's always evil. When they see good jealousy, it's evil to them. Is it evil to be jealous for your wife or something if someone's married, through the good way? Isn't the father jealous? Is that a wicked jealousness? What's the church world say? They don't care. They don't want to go there. They don't want to touch it. They don't want to ask that question because it'll expose them for not knowing. So they have to sit there and think and make things up. And if they don't have the truth, if they're running from the truth, whatever they make up will be a lie. And we watch them do it and we know they're going to do it. And we say, have a nice day, because those are the works of the devil. You're not my friend. You spend that much time making a lie up and covering lies, and you think about how to cover your lies just all for self, to hide self. Goes back to self every time, because self doesn't want to be exposed. So then it needs to protect the doctrines and its traditions, because if it goes and if it gets exposed, it goes back to self being a sinner and running and hiding from the Father. So therefore it has a zealousness to defend the lie, which makes it look like it cares, but it's coming from evil, defending lies because it's covering their sin in their mind. Therefore that zealousness is not good. It's coming out of evil, but it makes itself look good, using the evil and coming out of evil to create an image that looks good, to hide further. And when it's discerned that the evil thing is being done from the heart, then we see that. But they won't acknowledge it because they can't acknowledge it, because if they acknowledge it, they blow their cover, and that's the last thing someone will do ever. Therefore, we know they can't acknowledge it, and we'll tell them what they're going to do exactly to the letter, and they do it every time. And then they run away doing what we said they're going to do in advance every single time. And it's a spiritual prophecy, because you see in light, you see, therefore you see the pathways, and these are the pathways. Too bad. This is all you can do. This is what you must do, because we know that man doesn't want to acknowledge who and what he is. We know that. He cannot do that. Therefore, we know that. Therefore, this is what it cannot do. Therefore, it will do this and that and this and that, and then they do this and that, and then that's what happens. Messiah says, you will die in your sins, period. They didn't care. That sounded evil. How dare you say we're going to die in our sins? That's the very thing we're hiding and covering. And you're saying casually we're going to die in our sins? They don't believe they are sinners at all. So that makes them rage that he just casually speaks truth and says you're going to die in your sins. The very thing they don't believe. That's what they're hiding and running and covering from. Therefore, the only thing left to do is murder Messiah. That's one way to defend self, is get rid of the light so that it stops exposing you. We don't care about life and light and liberty and about humanity at all, or any love or truth. We just need to kill the one that's exposing us, because out of selfishness, so that me is not exposed anymore. Working out of self constantly, checking with self. And it goes back to selfishness and defending itself and its sin and its covering. So now go and murder Messiah. That'll fix our problem. And if someone thinks that the devil can do any different than what they did to Messiah, they're severely confused and deceived that the devil can love his people and not do what we read that they all did to Messiah, which is want to kill him from their heart. That's the real murder right there. But they did end up killing him. But their heart killed him first. And when you do that, you have to have a murderous heart to do the full deed. But if you are restrained from doing the full deed, and the heart's exactly the same, what's the difference? That's murder. It's still murder to the Father. That's still, you shall not murder. That's murder. It's not to say, go murder now, that this isn't even like worse in its own way, obviously. No, it's just saying that it's still murder, even if you don't literally murder. But the darkness doesn't want to come to the light. Messiah says so plainly with simple words of knowledge and truth. For it's afraid of coming to light, for its deeds are evil, to be exposed as evil. It doesn't want to be exposed that it's evil and its works are evil. It's the last thing someone wants. It's a foundational truth for all believers, that darkness does not want its deeds exposed, ever. There's no such thing anywhere, anytime, where darkness does want its deeds exposed. Where's the scripture that says so? And here's the scriptures that say it doesn't want it. Now you have to deny the scriptures that do say so plainly. And there's nothing that says the opposite. And yet people will find the opposite if you're desperate to find it and need to support your traditions or whatever, doctrine, lies. They will find it. The thing is, it doesn't actually exist. Therefore, what they find will be a lie every time, and a stupid, foolish thing every single time. Because they worked out of desperation, wanting something out of a crooked heart to defend. They never wanted truth when you did that to defend yourself. Therefore, whatever it finds will be a contradicting evil lie. Because it needed to do that to defend itself. So then it would rather take scripture and use it and throw down a bunch of other simple scriptures that it's denying that it was given, and say that contradictions exist before they give up themselves. What do they really think of his word when that's what they're willing to do above all things, before they deny themselves? It's a confusion. It's a blinding. And even in the actual creation, the sun goes around and exposes darkness, and the darkness flees. It moves out darkness to expose what was there, where before the sun's light came, and now it comes and it reveals it. And it's the darkness that flees. It's a coward, it's weak. Because it's a coward and weak, it needs to make it look strong at all times because it's cowardly and weak. But they will give you a different alternative meaning on why they are doing what looks strong and weak. It's a lie every time. And there's always an alternative meaning and way to do this for everything. And the devil does it every time with everything, everywhere, never missing a beat, because it's that desperate to defend evil and hide who and what it is every time. And a simple example of so many things, greater, lesser, but just a simple picture. You can't say that the monster is 666. There's got to be an alternative reason why it looks like that. It's an M. It's an M. And the world believes it's an M, and it's not 666. And the company can't say what their heart is and why they're doing what they're doing. They can't. They can't. They're cowards. They will give you the alternative meaning and reason that's always available, that makes a way for it to look like there's an alternative meaning and reason every time. And that's what the world buys every time. And when someone does evil from their own heart, they're doing these same things. But that's just a little picture of what people are doing. They can't say what they're doing, why they're working, what their intention is. They never can do that. And yet they're still working constantly. It's a strong delusion. It might as well be possessed while you're blind with your hands up, like a zombie. It's what evil is. Just already know how to do evil and have the perfect cover at all times with everything, and have the alternative reason and motive and meaning every time to cover that real evil and intention. So clever all the time, just already prepared, knows how to do it. You can't drive this way. You can't drive this way, says a screaming, uncontrollable God man on the road, going crazy, trying to control you. That didn't look so good, did it? Well, not really. Here comes the cover. Here comes the alternative meaning. This actually happened to me in real life. Uh, uh, I just didn't want cops to come and get you, and give tickets. They give tickets. I wouldn't want you to get a ticket by the cops. Shut up, snake. I didn't say that time, but it's evil. It's stupid. It's a lie. And the more the Father's giving to see it, it's like, wow, they actually think we can't see that? That's wicked. It's stupid. It's evil. You don't care about me and are literally from your heart genuinely afraid of me getting a ticket. You want me to get a ticket, but you only said that to cover that other thing you said, which is a reason and an excuse to control, to start something, to control something so that it makes you look like you have power because you're void and have no power, insecure, utterly void and desperate. So then you need to control someone, which makes it look like you're strong when you say, you can't do that, in hopes that they listen to you, which is worshiping them. Yes, it is. That's their intention, to be worshipped and believed in this kind of way. When it's done like that, there is a way to ask someone to do something without wanting worship and doing this evil. That's the good way. This bad way is always evil and wants God to be worshipped and believed and listened to. So how does the person know already how to do this? So if I say anything, if someone says anything back to the person, you can't walk this way, you can't drive this way, you're not allowed to do that, out of the blue screaming, madman, pouring out who and what he is, insecure. Only insecure people start screaming and telling what people do to randomly on the street out of the blue. They need attention like a 5-year-old. Someone quiet that walks away and never talks, that's strength. Messiah's life. In the real world, in reality, in this world. Then you say, I'm worried, the cops, so you don't get a ticket. So now he's telling you why he told you that. Because if something comes back at him, like, you did evil, you just sinned, you just did wickedness, you just tried to control me out of insecurity, and you want worship and you hate me, he can say, wicked, I care about you. I told you the cops, so the cops don't come after you. And everyone that's a devil around him will believe that image and worship it. Period. Period. They can't do anything else. They cannot side with Messiah's people and light. They will worship the image that the devil said, even if they hate the devil, even if they're not buddies. They just had a fight. They just hate each other. Doesn't matter. They will worship that image and believe that image over what I say or another believer says. And because I already know that, what do you do in real life? You say nothing so many times and eat it and swallow it and bear it and go back to your car and drive away and do nothing with it. Sometimes there is something to say. I don't know that time unless he shows me. That's it. But a lot of times you just say nothing, because if you say anything with devils, they're coming after you. They're going to pin evil on you, and then they're going to get you to do evil. Exactly what the devil wants me and you to do is evil back to people, because that's what's going to hurt you. That's what's going to take you down and blind you if you do evil from your heart. That's what they want you to do constantly. And while all this happens, they don't know that we can see all this in advance when we're given, when this thing grows, when he gives sight to see how it's working and what we're seeing in advance, and what will happen if we say this, what will happen if we don't say this. We already know. Not perfectly, not all the time, every time. He gets us to start knowing, though. You can't play their game, ever, the way they want you to, ever. Because it will make us go down and they'll like it. They get off on someone's death. They get off if you murder them, which is our murder, which is our hurt. They just tore at some flesh right there. They just took a bite, the lion out on the sheep, and they like to get food inside them. Don't give them opportunity. But this world says that out of pride, out of insecurity, not out of understanding what that means and living it. They never can live it. They only say that to cover themselves. It's just a damnable image when they say, don't do that. Don't give him opportunity. They never do it. They can't do it. In reality, when someone does evil to them, their heart must murder them back. They never follow that in reality. They only say that to cover that they never do what that means. And when you do that, going back to the first thing, when you do that image, just say something just to cover that you don't actually ever live that. You never actually did what you said for real. It's a liar and a deceiver 24/7. So when I'm saying these things, I see an image when the guy says something as an example. There's an image in the sky. And if there's people around, they're going to believe the devil that cast the image, which is what he's saying at that moment. which is whatever the image is. They'll believe the image in the sky and worship it with their heart. Spit on and murder Messiah's people, period. They can't do what we ask. Every single day, they get the orders wrong on purpose for my job. Every day, literally, for months, going on a year, every day. They can't do what I ask because out of necessity, out of doing my job, out of needing to just simply ask, out of just asking for asking's sake, a good way. They can't do what we ask. That's fire to them just for asking. How dare you ask me? I'm God. I have to change something. And when I change it, I screwed you, which is what I want. Which I can make you look like a thief and a murderer when the person gets the wrong order back. That's why they do it. So that you look bad and wicked. The devil knows how to do that. So that you look like a murderer and a thief that murders their neighbor and gets the order wrong on purpose, which makes you look wicked and stupid. They want you to look that way. They're willing to murder two people to get to one, the one they don't see and the one they do see. They never take up my offer to come in my car and drive and talk and let's go to the neighbor that you screwed on purpose and tell them what you did. They never will. They're cowards. I already know they can't. And if I tell someone again, I know they won't do it. They ask me to do something. I'm not afraid of doing it. They're not going to ask because they're afraid of asking. And then they call us cowards for running away from evil. They don't know what coward means when they think that's cowardly to run away evil. They don't know what coward means. If they did, they would never say or believe that and do those works. The works prove they don't know what it means and that they don't believe it and do it. Do what it means. It's like hoping I hope his people are seeing this, but man, I know what's going to happen when they see this deeper. It's going to hurt. And never in a million years, as a expression, I guess, would I ever believe that this is the reality we live in. And out of whatever I see that the Father's given today, never crossed my mind ever on any of the things he's shown me. Never even crossed my mind that this is what it is. And so often, everywhere in his word, it's with utter authority. Has anyone noticed how often it's in there? It says, this is what will happen, period. This is what they will do. This is what they all will do. They will worship the image of the beast. Great or small, doesn't matter. Race, blood, short, high, or taller, Jew, Greek, Gentile, different nations and races, doesn't matter. If this, then this, period. And if not, they're coming for you to kill you and tear at the sheep all day long without a cause. Without a cause, that's what's coming, growing. I can only speak for my own life and experience that he's utterly proving that. And when he starts proving like that in this way, you start believing it more. The real experience and proof gets you to believe it more because it's actual proof. You're more confident in whatever you believe when he proves and tests all things. Father does that himself. He doesn't skip and tell us to do something that he doesn't do first. And then if you can see so much evil all day long, you kind of start needing to think on heavenly things, because all this evil is like, it's too much. It's gonna take you down. If it's really this bad, and it is, then that's a lot of evil to meditate on constantly. That can't be good for us. Think on heavenly things, all the good things. Well, that's difficult. So then you have to ask how to do that right, to be able to do it. Because coming out of darkness, all you think of is darkness and pride and selfishness and evil. That's what's on the mind. How do you do the other thing now when you never did it before? And I just said that just as an example to bring something out. Not that someone isn't doing some of something good right now, just that at some point it started and it wasn't there at some point. So how do you start doing what you never did before? You have to learn how. And you can't teach yourself. And no one else can teach you. That's why we read they won't have anybody to teach them and their neighbor like that in this way. Because Messiah is teaching and saying that the Father will be the teacher for all of them. They shall all be taught by Elohim, by the Father. We read that. The actual understanding and teaching, the real things, are taught and given from him. And he works through people. But the real thing is always given from him and never from self, out of self. Why do anything then if self can't actually do this? Because that's what love is, and the world doesn't do that. It makes sure that there's some kind of self-gain before it does something. His way, there is nothing like this. You do the insane thing, which is do it anyways, even if no one cares, even if no one sees, no one's believing. The many don't believe, the many not seeing, zero worldly gain. You still do it anyways, like a madman. That's insane in this world. It's retarded to this world. No one would do something for zero worldly gain. So then his works, his doctrine, his things is the exact opposite. There is no worldly gain, and you're supposed to do it anyways. The world's blind, and you're supposed to speak when you're supposed to speak to the blind, to the dead. You do it anyways, because that's real love. The other thing's not love. One's dark, one's light, one's good, one's evil. Sound like fun? The carnal man can't imagine why anyone would do this, because they haven't received any rewards and good things from the Father. It's utterly foolish to them. So they have to receive carnal rewards. You have to. It's a law. It might as well be a law. It's spiritual law. If not receiving heavenly, you have to receive some kind of carnal gain. And there's different ways of getting carnal gain, but you must get some kind of carnal gain. And sin, which is like worship, that's one way to get something, is worship, power from people through sin, carnal gain. But now we don't. So you do the right things and get the true reward. The benefit of getting his rewards is now you don't need to get carnal gain as a benefit from something that you do good. Now there's a benefit for receiving his rewards. You don't need to receive and chase these other carnal rewards when you have the real rewards. It's not doing something out of, I think I already said that, not doing something out of for the reason of not needing. It's just if we do the right thing and receive the good for doing the right thing, the benefit of that will be we won't even need to do something for carnal gain. So there is a good incentive. There is good rewards, that's not evil. It's just that the world's evil incentive for evil rewards is evil, but now there's a good incentive for good rewards. That exists too. Just because the evil thing is what the world is doesn't mean the good doesn't exist way of it. Not evil to have an incentive for doing actual good to receive more good. You're doing actual real good, unlike this world, and then receiving incentive for rewards to receive more good. That's good. That's not evil. You know, and the heavenly rewards the world can't see. So that's why we have to look stupid and retarded and insane. The more someone grows, the more that will become true. If they're very small, it's true, but it's just very small. It's not very true yet, even if it's true. But then someone grows, it becomes more true, closer to the perfect thing. And yet, I don't see any other way. If someone is growing, the tribulation has to grow too. You have to become more offensive too. You have to be hated more too at the same time for growing, because the light's brighter. It's more offensive. It's getting bigger. It's exposing more what people want to bury and hide. And the bigger light someone is, the clearer they can see these things that the Father gives us. If they're a small light, they see something, but it's not the same as a bigger light. It's just true. So in this way, there's nothing wrong with it. Just as long as someone believes, that's all, and keeps going. And and with his way and his things, he's doing all this work. He's doing all this good. So it's stupid to be envious of another believer. First of all, that's evil, the evil envy. And it's stupid because we're not even the one in control. That's to judge the creator himself. That's to judge the master himself on what and why is he doing what he's doing. To judge a brother in this evil way we read is to judge the lawgiver. But when we read the verses, it doesn't make sense until the understanding comes in on how that's true. Because we only see the dark thing, the evil thing, until the Father gives us what it means, the good thing, the truth. An actual brother is of the Father, and another person judging in this evil way, a brother, is judging the lawgiver, the creator, because he's connected to him. This is separate from correcting someone. This is some kind of evil judgment. It's like the hand saying to the foot, screw you, you idiot, wicked. It's pretty stupid. Aren't they all for the body's benefit? Should be. So this evil judgment for one person and as a believer to another, the evil judgment, evil way, is evil and it's stupid. And plus Messiah is the head. That's to judge beyond the foot or hand. It's to judge the head. Why are you doing this to the hand? Says the foot. Are you retarded? Are you evil? So it's pretty big what people do. Mankind doesn't realize what he's doing. An unbeliever, none of this is real. There's no connection with the Father. There's no fear. There's no authority coming from him to them given. So none of this means anything. And there's nothing we can do about it. We can't just go poof, and now 500,000 people believe because we said so. 500,000 people understand because we said the words. So then the intention always has to be good. If the intention is to move the masses, that's already a deceitful worker. If that was a light, if that was a real light speaking to 1,000 people, they'd murder him. He'd be gone quick, whether dead literally or running and fleeing. They don't expose any of the darkness and evil. That's why, that's why it's loved by so many. But it needs to be understood how evil works, serpent wisdom, because devils attack devils, which causes confusion. But we have to understand why they attack, why they make fun of, why they are divided and say this division's better than that one. These are two different things. When someone attacks, it makes it look like they're exposing something, which makes them look good. But an enemy never does the actual good there. He's only looking like something. It's only attacking to raise its own image and cover up, and the other does the exact same work back. But true light actually exposes light without stripping someone's robe by your own hand and then laughing at them. It just is what it is. There's no evil in light exposing darkness when it's the truth, the good way, the real thing. Because if the intention in the heart is not to make someone look bad, to hurt them, then that means we never did the evil when that was not the intention. But it will look like exposing someone, which is what this world does. Therefore, it'll accuse you of doing what they themselves do all the time. And now you can't do that. You have to stop. But then they do the exact same thing over and over again. How come they never stop and take their own advice? Babylon, Babylon, confusion, confusion. It's okay to sing a song and make millions of dollars on a song that's teaching about their own confusion. As soon as something real is said about it by light, attacks, murder, wicked, but then they sing songs and make millions about their own confusion. It's okay for them to do that. Maybe because when they do that, they don't see or believe the very words they say. That's why everyone buys it. It's not real. So when light says confusion, this is what it is. Everyone hates it. Saying the same words that the guy that sold on the album sold everyone. Saying the same words. Now everyone hates it. Maybe because the guy that sold the album, the band or whatever, and sold their songs that expose them own selves and show how confused they are, talking about themselves and their confusion and misery all the time. Maybe it's because they don't believe the very words or understand what on earth they're saying. They're only doing that to pour out their folly and hide, to make it look like they're good by saying that. That's it. It's the trick, the grand trick. It's why it's bought. And if someone doesn't like that band, that's just one person not liking the other person's gods in a carnal way. Just saying my clothes are better than your clothes. That's why people do that. It makes them look good, but it's not real. They're literally talking about the clothes only and the image and the outward thing and saying, this is better than your thing. You strip the clothes from all the divisions and they're all naked and it was never real and you throw the clothes on the ground. Now let's talk about what's real. Stop talking about worthlessness. I do read, how long will you love worthlessness? This is what it is. Why we read it. Why the Father's saying it in his word. Chasing worthlessness. How long will you love worthlessness? That's it. You just have to slowly start going away and stop doing what you used to do. I don't see another way. You start realizing that because what you say is not going to just change everyone, and it's just going to cause fire and attacks, and it's always going to attack and defend itself, and it's always going to never acknowledge its sins. It's always going to be, so then we'll just end up doing evil when you try to force yourself on someone like that, just out of the blue. Just wait when he tells you to speak and when he tells you not to speak. That would be the perfect thing. Doesn't Messiah teach that? Or was it for 12 people a long time ago and now it doesn't apply to anyone? When this happens, when they take you up, when these situations happen, just wait on the Father when to speak, when not to speak. We read that. And he'll give you the words so that you know what to say, the right thing at the right time. And that's not good. That's no good, because that's not coming directly from self. But that is the good thing. But it's not good to man. I think that's all. Yeah, I think that's it. All right. What is this? Okay, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to check. I'm done doing that kind of stuff. Something to sell, some kind of evil or something to sell. So if I click whatever that is, and it is some kind of evil, then that intention was to take me down. Why'd you do that? You want me to sin? Just proving what I'm talking about, people that do this. Don't do that. It just proves that they want you to do some kind of sin. What more proofs do we need? And it's still no proof. It's still no good for someone. Send some link to a bunch of perversion, like comes every once in a while. They want you to click on it. What else? Why else did they paste that? The heart was going, I got a good idea. I'm going to put this link over here so you click it because I hate what I'm hearing. You don't have to listen. Go away. But why put the link on there? Perversion. I don't know what this is, but I don't understand it. And if something I don't understand, it's usually something perverted, and it's getting harder to understand people because they're talking like super gangster, and it's like 2 letters, 3, and it's all weird, and it's like getting shorter and shorter until it disappears. Soon it's going to be like and that'll be cool to someone. I know not everyone's literally doing it like that. That's not the point. But I mean, it's like increasing. How can't someone see that they want you to do evil? So then that hurts you if someone does evil and watches a bunch of evil and wants you to do evil. It doesn't matter what it is. Someone wants you to do evil, wants to hurt you if you do the evil that they want you to do. That intention was murder, kill, steal, destroy. There was no other intention for doing that work. But when someone does that work, they can't see that that's what they're doing. They're not seeing this out of light. You can't see what you're doing in the darkness. The Father wasn't lying. Messiah is not lying. It's not a joke. It's real. They can't see how this is evil or that they even did it. And if since you did it in the dark, I can never prove they did it. Even when it's utter proof, we see it, but I can never prove it, in that I can never prove to them that they did it. It's never proof to them, because when they did it, it was in the dark. You didn't see me. It's not possible you saw me, because I'm in the dark. You can't see me. Hello, get a flashlight. What do you mean there's no way to see someone? But whatever someone knows, if that's darkness, then the spiritual light, the real light, is foreign. It's alien. It doesn't exist. It's freaky. It must not be true. It doesn't exist. That's why it's rare. That's why Messiah says, "Don't hide it." You don't light a lamp to hide it. What kind of stupidity is that? Okay, I need light in the darkness. Let me hide it under a pillow. I'm ashamed of it. But that's how bad mankind is. He needs to learn not to be ashamed of it. Even that takes work. But the perfect thing is saying, don't hide it. That's stupid. So then you strive for the perfect thing. It's there to be seen. It's there for other people to see, which sounds prideful. Sounds like it's all about you needing to be seen. Doesn't matter what it sounds or looks like. It's always going to sound and look evil to evil. But if it's doing good and coming out of good, it doesn't matter that it has to sound and look bad to the darkness. It doesn't mean it's darkness and evil and pride. What if that light's not ours? What if light is actually always good and never prideful? Not meaning that we can't make mistakes and sin. It's just that light itself is not darkness. It's not prideful. It's not evil. It doesn't work like darkness does. It sees what it's doing, so it doesn't stumble. And because the heavenly thing is the higher thing, that means you can literally walk with 2 literal feet and still stumble all day long. Therefore, literally walking in this way, in this contrast, doesn't have any benefit in comparison to what walking really means. So then the lower thing is the lower thing. Heavenly thing is the heavenly thing. And the light is like on a hill, to be seen on a hill. Look, there's light here. But the world says something about that. And we say something like on a city on a hill, because those are nice words that sound good and are good words. But then they go to war and kill a bunch of people tomorrow. That's not light. Light never murders anyone. Light never steals and robs people's life by lying to them, by murdering them. Light doesn't do what others do to you. It does what you want. Do unto others as you would yourself. Light can start seeing that what you might do there and catch yourself, that you wouldn't want that back on you. Darkness can never see that, therefore it always breaks. Do unto others as you would yourself, because it never sees itself. But now, when the Father gives us light and we start seeing, we can start catching ourselves and seeing, would I want that done to me, what I'm about to do? It never practices. Darkness never practices this for real. It just talks. Just got a big mouth like the snake, like a serpent. It's a big mouth for a reason. Father's not stupid. It's a big mouth and it's freaky, and it swallows life whole for itself, for its own gain and benefit, to get fatter. Shoots venom in and takes life. You get close to a snake, it just might bite you to kill you. That's not a friend. No friend. Messiah came to crush the works of the devil. You crush the head of the snake, you crush its works. It's over. Everything else dies. But these specific works are the works of the heart. All the commandments, all the laws needing to be seen and understood to start doing it. The works of the devil breaks the Father's commandments constantly. And his people need to crush the serpent's head just like Messiah did by the Father's power. He didn't do it himself. There's no selfishness anywhere. He couldn't do anything without the Father. He said so. Of myself I can do nothing. He couldn't do it of himself. By saying he's God, destroys that truth. Therefore, it destroys the only thing that is true, which means it's the 180, which is evil, which is untrue, which is a lie, which is evil, which is pride, which is self. Instead of, I couldn't do this myself. Of myself, I can do nothing. He denied himself. He's the example of what we are taught to do. He did it, denied himself, didn't trust himself to do the Father's good works. And no one can make an excuse because he already did it perfectly once, perfectly. And if someone can do, for an example, if someone does something perfect, they just proved that they could do it perfectly. So then we can't complain and say he can't do even the perfect thing. Can't complain because the standard is perfect. Therefore, we have no room to complain and say he can't do it. So that shows us something too. Just that Messiah didn't sin shows us something else, that no one can actually. Father already took care of it all. There's no way to trick him. There's no way to make him look stupid. There's no way to put him down. There's no way to trick him. There's no way to mock him. He's already got it all figured out. He already figured it all out. Just a matter of seeing how. So if someone says, like, that's impossible, that can't be done, he already did it perfectly. And for a purpose, in a way slightly different than everyone that would believe, because we're not the sacrifice for everyone's sins. So then not only does that work out to show that he can do the perfect thing, that if he did that, then we can't complain about anything less than that. He had to be perfect to be a sacrifice for sins also. And we're not that. That needs to just be understood, that someone else is not the sacrifice for the sins of the world. We weren't it. And so this perfect thing works perfectly for something else at the same time that works perfectly for another thing. Pretty stunning. Because in order to be the sacrifice, he had to be no blemishes. That was the scripture already teaching that. And he had to be without blemish, without sin, to be the sacrifice. Perfection, there is no less. That is the standard, and there's nothing less. And as it gets more difficult for someone, maybe what's coming becomes more real at the same time. And so then it has to be like remembered. Now there's like a reason why we read these verses, because it's going to be very, very difficult at times, the narrow way. But there's like a heavy reward at the end, which takes severe faith to go through the difficulty of dying and selflessness. You really have to believe what we read in order to start being able to do it now. It's all connected. But if someone truly doesn't believe in anything to come, how will they go through all this struggle? Why would anyone want to do that? So then that's why we'll start looking insane to the world. It's going the wrong direction to them. That idiot's walking upside down. Ah, let him alone, says the world. Let the blind be alone. They're the blind guides over there upside down. They say the same thing we do about evil. They say it to good. Except in their heart, they don't have any real belief or confidence, and they just don't want to acknowledge it. It is true that you can't do that. You can't do evil. You can't be in darkness. They don't actually have actual confidence, faith, and belief and hope. It's not there. That's how sure we are in what his word is. He doesn't reward evil. He doesn't give that to darkness. So darkness can talk, but we believe what the Father says, not what they say. Believe what his word says, and they don't have it. They're doing a magnificent job, pretty good job of covering it, which makes our Father look like a liar. Makes it look like everyone's doing pretty good for a lot of sin. I just realized, I think yesterday, that the words I say at the end, peace, take care, seek truth from above, is 7 words. It took me that long to find that out, for that long, to realize it was 7 words. But it just something, I don't know, just 7, it was perfect. I didn't realize it. But that is like walking in the spirit. You just do what's right without even until you see it, and then it just works out something amazing that you didn't like try to do. That's what prophecy is. You try yourself, and it's going to be stupid and fail, and it's not going to work from self. But if we do it his way, then the amazing thing happens. All right, I'm going to end it here. Please take care, seek truth from above.